Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Drafted Up Podcast. We're a podcast focused on the NFL draft and fantasy football drafts. As always, I'm your host, Theo, and joining me each and every episode is Nick. How you doing, dude?
Good, what's up, my boy?
I'm doing all right. As always, you can follow us over on Twitter/X at DraftedUp_pod. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Search Drafted Up Podcast. We should pop up. Give us a like, give us a follow, subscribe, listen, rate, review, all that good jazz. We appreciate each and every one of you guys who listen each and every episode. And today is a big one as we continue our Couch Scout series. And we're doing a two-part episode here as we're doing the wide receiver class, and it's a big one. We're doing our top 20. This receiving class is deep, and let me tell you, I am so jazzed for this one.
Hell yeah, brother. There are a ton of receivers in this class that I just love.
Yeah, this receiving class, way different than last year's. Last year's was relatively weak, and this one is so deep. Like, I would probably have Jackson Smith-Njigba, who was the consensus number one last year, probably at like wide receiver 5 in this class.
Yeah, definitely. He'd be around 4 or 5 for sure. Definitely would not be in my top 3.
Yeah, the top 3 are such alphas, and we'll be talking about them next episode. As this one, we are going to focus on our 20 through 11. But before we start, let's give someone a shout out who's outside your top 20. Anyone in particular that you like?
Man, he's throwing me for a curveball. Wasn't prepared for this.
I mean, I can quick go. I have mine.
Yeah, you go.
I'll start here. He is my wide receiver 23. I'm going with Jalen Coker, the Holy Cross wide receiver. Small school guy, but the little tape that I was able to find and watch, I really liked it. A pretty good route runner and decent route tree, especially for someone from a smaller school, well above his level of competition for sure. His timing and his variance and his technique's really good. He's got a really good rocker step. And he's really productive. 51 catches for 691 yards and 4 touchdowns as a sophomore. 50 catches, 912 yards, 11 touchdowns as a junior. And his senior year, 59 catches, 1,040 yards, 15 touchdowns. Good ball skills, not afraid to attack the ball. He gets vertical, catches the ball at its high point, real strong hands. He was really explosive. He had the best vert in the draft class at 42.5 inches. He establishes himself for the quarterback. Like, he was well above the competition, and obviously you got to take that with a grain of salt playing at a smaller school, but I really liked his tape. He did lack some top speed, struggled against press man coverage, not really a yak guy, but like, he gets physical, fights for the yards. I loved him. I think he's a great, like, 5th, 6th round kind of project guy.
Yeah, I can dig it. If I would have to go outside the top 20, I'd go my receiver 23, which is Jeremiah Thrash from Louisville.
The Louisville guy.
Yeah. I watched a lot of stuff at Louisville, and then even some stuff from I want to say he was at like Georgia Southern or something. Like
yeah,
that.
he was
Georgia
at one of those
State.
like smaller. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, he's got very smooth feet. His routes are very clean. What else do I have down for him? He's a good deep ball tracker, which I like, and he's very, very savvy when it comes to the football IQ, which is something I look for a lot in receivers.
Yeah, especially guys coming from a smaller school to a bigger name school, for sure. I believe I had him. I haven't fully watched him, so I haven't given him like an official ranking. He's just inside my top 30 right now with the other guys who have only watched like 2 or 3 games. I usually try not to rate guys until I watch like 4 games of theirs. So let's dive in then. Let's do our 20. You want to do 20 through 11 right off the bat, or you want to do the first 5, 20 through 19, 18, 17, 16?
20 through 16. Yeah, we can do that. That makes sense.
All right. Hit me up your 20 through 16.
Okay. 20, I got Jaquan Jackson from Tulane. It's not a name you quite see in a top 20 list, but that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to start with Jaquan Jackson from Tulane at 20. 19, I got Jalen McMillan from Washington, one of the Washington boys. At 19, I got Bub Means from Pittsburgh.
18 bum
18.
memes.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. The sheets was slid over. 17 is Jalen Polk, Washington. Another Washington boy. And then 16, I got Tez Walker from North Carolina.
All right. I do not have Bub Means in my top 20. He is my wide receiver 22. So he's not so far out.
Yeah.
So my 20 is Anthony Gold from Oregon State.
Hell yeah.
Devontae Walker from North Carolina, who you said was your 16. He is my 19.
Mm-hmm.
At 18, I have Jermaine Burton from Alabama. At 17, I have Malachi Corley from Western Kentucky. And at 16, I have Jalen McMillan from Washington.
Okay.
So I know I'm lower on consensus on Corley than like.
Yeah, I'll talk about him next episode.
Wow, in your top 10.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay. Wow. Hey. I see a lot of strengths in Corley's game, so I'll save my Malachi Corley talk for your episode there, your top 10. So who were yours again? Who was you had 20 was Jaquan Jackson.
Jaquan Jackson, who you don't have on your list.
Reasonable. No, I do not.
Most people don't even watch at Tulane tape.
I have watched 4 games of his, so I do have him ranked. He is my wide receiver 26.
Okay, yeah, reasonable enough. 19 was Jalen McMillan, one of the Washington kids. 18 was Bub Means, Pittsburgh. 17 was Jalen Polk, and 16 was Tez Walker.
Okay, I have Polk just outside my top. He's in my top 20. He's 15. So
okay, so he's coming up.
Yeah. You don't have Anthony Gold in your top 20?
I do not. He's my 24. He's right after Thrash.
Okay. So I'll start with him. Anthony Gold, Oregon State. Excuse me. A little bit on the smaller side, 5'8" and 3/8, 174 pounds. So that's definitely not a great thing. He does have a small catch radius because of his size, obviously. So he does struggle with contested stuff. Despite he does go up for him, like he's incredibly willing to try and make the contested catch, but his frame doesn't really allow it. And then obviously he does struggle with like bump and run situations.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got elite speed. He consistently beats defenders. He's got a great burst off the line. Long speed's really good. Effective yak guy, vertical threat. He's not afraid to get physical. Like he plays way bigger than 5'8". Tough. He doesn't shy away from contested stuff, as I mentioned. And he did play predominantly as an outside wide receiver, which is incredibly rare for someone his size. And a big selling point on him for me was his ability to play special teams. He's an elite level returner, and with the kick return rules changing, he's going to make an impact on a team. He does lack some lateral movement. He comes off slow out of his breaks, doesn't sink his hips. Hands aren't great. He had an 8.3% drop rate in 2023. And then his contact balance is a little difficult. He gets knocked off the routes pretty easy, and he doesn't reset at a quick rate. But I have a late 4th round grade on him. I think as a return specialist, he's going to find a spot immediately in the NFL and then develop as like a wide receiver 4 who could become a wide receiver 3.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he's like a late 4 kind of guy. I think he's got pretty good upside, if in the right system, for sure.
Talk up your 20, Jaquan Jackson.
Jaquan Jackson, he's very similar to Gould from Oregon State. They're both return specialists, is why I have him in my top 20. His return game stuff is top tier. His yak ability is something I like a lot from him. His speed through routes, I picked up on a lot. He doesn't stop. He just keeps going and going.
He had a really nice combine.
He did. He looked very, very good at the combine. That's hilarious. A lot of it jumped out at the combine, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch a ton of this guy's tape. And I just deep dove, and each time I was like, okay, everything you see at the combine follows through with the tape. So it's not just like he only tests well kind of thing. He's a great returner, as I said earlier. he's very schemable, which is nice. If he's in like a new kind of NFL kind of offense, he's gonna scheme in well and he can get open very well. I like it a lot.
Yeah, my big concern with Jackson was I feel like he dropped so many passes. So like I didn't catch up on a lot of yak stuff because like I didn't see enough of it because every time I feel he turned, he was dropping the ball, and a lot of that fell on his quarterback. Like Michael Pratt was pretty banged up this year, so like it was a touch and go situation. But like that was my big flaw for Jackson was his hands in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his hands were definitely something I put on the side of caution, but it college drops are college drops. They happen here and there, but.
And then your 19 was Jalen McMillan.
Jalen McMillan.
All right, he's my 16. Let's talk McMillan. You're good on Jackson. Anything else you want to add?
No, he's good.
Okay.
McMillan, he's a pretty good deep threat option. I noticed that very well in that Washington offense. My apologies. He's also got a very good route tree and good hands. It's a very consistent thing with the Washington receivers. Their route trees are all top tier, and their hands are ungodly strong, dude. It's insane.
Yeah. All three of the Washington receivers, great route runners, and also willing to just go deep. You didn't see a lot of deepness from McMillan this year. He was pretty banged up.
Yeah.
So a lot of this season was a lot of underneath stuff. But if you go back and look at his 2022 tape, he was more of a deep threat wide receiver.
Yeah. On the deep options, you could really see him track the ball as well, which is something you obviously want out of your deep threat options. He's also very good at separation. He's good at creating his own separation.
So I like Jalen McMillan a little more than you had him at 16. Going into today, I did have him above Jalen Polk, but I watched a little bit more and gave the slight nod to Polk, but they're neck and neck for me. He has really good strong hands and a pretty good catch radius. He's really good at reaching back and pulling the ball back in. Like if you watch his gauntlet drill at the combine, it was one of the best amongst the class in my eyes. He extends past his frame. He doesn't body catch, which I see a lot of for guys in the class. And he holds ball through contact, excellent body control. He's incredibly aware, like he knows exactly where to attack the defense, find the weak spots in the zone, and just sit there. Really good at ball tracking, like you said, and he knows where to attack the defense blind spots and win with leverage. And he's super tough. Like, he'll run through the middle of defense, absorb hits, and he will do his best to gut through injuries, which is a concern I did have for him. His durability issues, like he's been banged up his whole college career. He played through an MCL sprain and did miss some time this past season. He broke his hand in 2021, had a high ankle sprain that caused him to miss time in 2020. He does have a little bit of a thinner frame, 6'1", 192. Does lack long speed, and he's not overly a deep threat this past season. And that's where his hands do weak. Like he had 3 drops on passes over 20 yards this season compared to the 6 catches. But like I said, like he was banged up, so he wasn't really called upon to be the deep threat this year. I do think he's like a true slot receiver. Excuse me, kind of reminds me of Tyler Boyd. When he's on the field, incredibly productive. In 2022, he was actually the guy for Michael Penix. And then injuries did set him back this year, as well as Roma Dunze emerging as the alpha wide receiver. Great first step and footwork early in his routes, excels on the underneath part of the field. Like I said, 2022 tape a lot better than 2023. Excellent slot receiver. He does have some special teams upside as he did do some he did field punts at Washington. So he's got some quickness, shiftiness to be an effective punt returner. I had a late 3rd, early 4th round grade on McMillan.
Yeah, checks out.
All right, let's go to 18, which was your boy Bub Memes. Talk him up. This is one of your guys.
This is my guy. He is one of the better athletes in the draft. He's
Great athlete.
True athlete, dude. It's crazy. His body control with and without the ball he doesn't get off balance is unbelievable. He plays very fast. Very good ability to break through tackles, which is something I love. You can't tackle him with his arms. It's not gonna happen. He plays like a running back at times. He falls forward. He's always trying to get extra yards.
He's really good with the ball in his hands.
Oh yeah, he's a very natural playmaker. I also put down blocking. He loves to block, dude. He's one of the few receivers I've seen out there that are willing to go out there and just block anyone on the
Mm-hmm.
defense. He also has back to the balance and body control. He also has good balance off the line. His first step is impeccable, and his hands are always in the right spot to break off
Mm-hmm.
contact. His fall though, he loves body catches, brother.
He
He
does. He does.
loves it. That boy be catching everything with his body, bro.
If you can find any film of him trying to track a ball over his shoulders, it does not work because he can't catch with his body.
Yeah.
So like he's
trying
really
to
bad.
reel it in, brother.
Yeah, he doesn't do great at those deep over the shoulder passes. I did catch that a lot of body catches.
Yeah.
But overall, like super good athlete. I think he's a real good developmental guy. I did have a 5th round grade on him, same as Jalen Coker, as I had him pretty similarly ranked.
Mm-hmm.
But now I do like Bub Memes. He was actually, I got on the jump him a little earlier than like before, like he started moving up boards, hitting the combine, all that stuff. But no, I like that. I love the Bub Memes love.
Hell yeah, brother. He's just that he did that bad. He passes the eye test, and that's what I love. If
He
you
does.
just watch him play, he's a football player, dude.
Yeah, if he can work on the body catch, and he could develop into a nice wide receiver 3, and he plays boundary really well, so he's a good outside receiver.
He's a very nice outside receiver for sure.
Your 18 was Bub Memes. Mine was Jermaine Burton. Do you have Jermaine Burton in your top 20?
Yes. He is my 11.
Okay, so he's a little higher up for you, so I'll save him for there. Corley's the next episode for you. Who was your 16? Tez Walker?
Jalen Polk.
Okay.
Well, let's skip him. He's my 17.
Tez.
No, Jalen Polk.
Okay. Let's talk about Tez Walker, who is your 16, right?
Yeah, I have him above Polk.
Yeah, I have Tez Walker at 19.
Okay.
So I'm a little lower on Walker from UNC than most people. His speed's great, though. Like, he's explosive. He takes long strides. He's quick to accelerate. He's quick to separate. Elite long speed, good ball tracking ability, good size, 6'1.5", 193. He's really good exploiting zone coverage, makes the difficult adjustments along the sidelines, really good in contested catch situations as well. He was tied for 46 in 2023 in the nation with 10 on a 58.8% success rate. So that's when his hands actually do work, as that is a flaw. He does drop the ball a lot, and he has a bunch of focus drops and clap catches. He also loves catching with his body. 6.8% drop rate. He doesn't really improvise. So like on scramble drills, I just found that he was just kind of standing where his route ended and didn't kind of move around to find Drake May. And then struggles with separation occasionally. He's a little slow out of his breaks and often takes some extra steps to decelerate and come back. Raw route runner. He lacks a full route tree in my eyes. Right now, I think he's only going to beat you vertically. He's got to really develop his route game, and inconsistent in like short intermediate areas as well.
Yeah, his short work definitely needs some work, but his deep ball game is, I love it. Pretty much everything you said. He's good in the open field, natural playmaker, elite footwork, great separation, but his hands are the problem, and that's what he's getting paid to do.
Mm-hmm. I would love to see him develop an underneath game, because like he's so quick. Like he could become a real big like yak threat, but he only averaged 2.8 yards after the catch.
His ball timing is probably one of the better in the class. Like when he needs to be aggressive for a ball, he's aggressive. When he's not, he knows where to be with the ball.
Yeah, he's really good at like securing. He's just inconsistent with actually catching the ball.
Yeah,
but like he was 472nd in the nation in yards after catch this year. But like his abilities and skill set lend to someone that you can do manufactured touches with. Like get this guy involved in the screen game or end arounds and let him use his speed to beat you. In the end, I gave him a 4th round grade. I think he's got a huge ceiling. but I do worry that he is just a one-trick wonder and just is a deep threat in the NFL. Like I said, he's unpolished and raw. Um, I want to see him develop that route tree, but incredible athletic profile. So
He's
I hope he does.
someone that, like, when you're watching him, you're just like, why aren't you better?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And I don't know what it is,
like
but it's just like it's there, but it's also not there.
yeah,
Like I
like with
don't
his
know.
traits, his tape comes off kind of underwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like he got dicked around by the NCAA with
Oh,
transfers and
he got incredibly
oddball
screwed.
suspensions, but big upside guy.
Hmm?
Like I said, I grade him out the fourth, but like if he goes day 2, I wouldn't bat an eye on because like if you can open those traits up and manufacture him touches, like he could be a game changer.
I see him as a day 2 kind of guy. I think he's gonna go in the third.
All right, who haven't we talked about in your top?
We've talked about
Jalen
all my
Polk, right?
guys.
Just
Do we not
Jalen
talk about
Polk.
Polk? Then it's
Now,
just Jalen Polk. Who's
all right,
your 15?
he is my 15. So natural transition. Let's talk Jalen Polk, wide receiver from Washington.
Sounds good. One of them Washington boys, baby. Before coming into like our deep dive on tape, Jalen Polk was one of my top 5 receivers coming into this draft.
Wow.
Yeah, it was him and Rome, and I'm confident these guys are going to be. They're both going to be first round picks. They're both fucking. And as I just kept watching, Polk just kept falling down my rankings, and I'm like, damn. And don't get me wrong, I love Jalen Polk, baby. Just because he's sitting here at 17 doesn't mean I don't love him.
Mm-hmm.
He's got so many good traits, dude. He probably has the strongest hands in the draft class out of all the receivers. That boy's hands are clips, brother. They grip everything.
The first note I have under his strengths is might be the best go get it guy in the class.
Yeah.
Like if you need a catch, he's your guy.
Yeah. Well, see, because when I first started like watching anything, it was Washington. It was Rome and Penix. And I'm watching and I'm like, okay, that guy that was running with Rome, that guy's just as good as Rome.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you obviously watch, he has way more flaws than Rome does. But he's still he's a really good red zone target too. He's got good size. His body awareness is dope. And he's also an outside end slot guy, which I love.
Yep. Yeah, he's got great alignment versatility. I have that in here. 58% of his snaps are on the outside, 42% in the slot. I do think he probably transitions more to the NFL as a big slot type of guy.
I agree.
He's just a real big slot.
Mm-hmm.
I love his work ethic. Like he's not afraid to do the dirty work. Like he played special teams, he blocks. I saw some notes that coaches just rave about him, and like he's not afraid to cross the middle, take a hit.
Yep.
Like I said, best go get it guy in the class. Really good ball tracker. He was top 10 this year in deep catches with 14 and in yards at 567. You mentioned his size, 6'2", 204. So he's a pretty big bodied guy.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see him develop a little more of a route tree. He tends to round his routes a little bit more instead of like truly breaking out of them, which that's fixable. Like he does come off a little robotic, lacks some long speed. I don't see him much of as a yak guy, but big play situations, like I think he'll be fine. Like I said, I think he'll be a big slot type wide receiver. But he can line up outside, need be. His jump is a little clunky and slow, but great in contested catches, which he was tied for 16th this year with 16. I am a bit concerned that the majority of his production did come when Jalen McMillan was hurt. And then when McMillan came back, he kind of became the third option again. So that's something to keep an eye on, but that could just be a fluky thing. There's guys who have had 1 year of production in college and came into the NFL and were perfectly fine.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I think he's going to start off and develop into a nice wide receiver 3. I gave him a late 3rd round grade.
Mm-hmm. I think the thing with McMillan coming back was a lot that him and Penix already had so much chemistry in the past that it just overtook what Penix and Polk built.
Yeah.
And it's nothing against Polk, but I like all 3 Washington guys.
Yeah, incredible talents, all 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about Corley next episode since you have them in your top 10, which is, I look forward to that talk. So let's jump into our
15
next
through
crew,
11.
15 through 11.
I mean, you might as
And
well. What's your 14 through 11? You might as well go.
I got to scroll back up. Hold on. So like I said, 15 was Jalen Polk for me. 14 was Malik Washington from Virginia. 13 Xavier Worthy from Texas. 12 Roman Wilson from Michigan. And 11 Troy Franklin from Oregon.
Okay. Yeah, so we have a couple similar guys in there. You mentioned Malik Washington. That's a nice shout out. I got him at 22, right outside my top 20.
That's my dude.
Hell yeah, dude. 15, I have Xavier Worthy from Texas.
Okay.
14, I have Roman Wilson from Michigan. 13, I have Troy Franklin from Oregon. 12, I have Javon Baker from UCF. And then 11, which I mentioned earlier, is Jermaine Burton from Alabama.
Okay. I had him in 18. So let's talk Jermaine Burton. You have him at 11, which is kind of surprising because I know last I talked to you about him, you weren't too keen on him. So what changed there?
Keen. I like this game a lot. He doesn't have many flaws as a true receiver. My problem is his off-field stuff, which is his on-field stuff. And he's got a bit of an anger problem. And he likes to kick people. And
yeah, he does. Brother is hot-headed.
His game. He's a true receiver, bro. If he had no on-field issues, he would be in the top 5. He
is a more polished Devontae Walker.
Yeah, the stuff I have on him is what do I got here? His body control. He's straight line fast. I love it. Deep threat, ball tracking ability. He finds open space. He's route tree. His hands. He's a dog on and off the field, baby.
No drops in 2023 from Jermaine Burton. And like you said, his speed, his average depth of target was 4th in the country at 20.2 yards per target. Brother is
dog, baby.
But he is elite level deep threat. He was top 35 in deep catches, top 25 in deep yards. Extremely chipper. He will shit talk with the best of them.
He's gonna run his mouth, dude.
But he's so hot-headed.
Alabama guy, dude. Saban's got those guys down there pat, and he's like, "Nah, fuck that. I'm running my mouth." Not this guy.
Not Jermaine Burton. You can't tame that dog.
No.
Really hot-headed, and I do worry. Like, he's got to get that under control. It's also a little bit. He does have a little bit of a lean frame, and he does get knocked off balance at times, but he is a dog, and I do love his vertical upside. I do wish he was more of a yak guy. Like, a lot of these deep speed guys, like, aren't being used as after catch guys. And
I kind of think that's what it is. I think they have the yak ability. It's just not being shown in college. I don't know if it's like a switch in college ball. I don't know what's going on.
Yep, but
they're not really running under route yak routes.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, he had 1 screen catch for 2 yards, only forced 3 missed tackles, 3.3 yards after catch, all of which bottom 400 in the nation. But his big playability is maybe tops of the class, and I gave him a 4th round grade. If he can get his attitude in check, he's going to be a steal. And I think he ends up going earlier than the grade I gave him. I don't think he's going to make it to the 4th round. I do think he gets drafted at the end of the 3rd.
Man. I think a lot of teams aren't going to have him on their board.
No? Okay.
I think a lot of teams are just going to have him off their board just based off of his on-field stuff. And that's a shame. But, I mean, it only takes one team. That's all. You only need one out of the 32 that like you. And he's like a 2nd-round talent, dude.
Yeah, on paper talent, like if you can get past those off the field issues and kind of get his head straight. And we've seen that before. We've seen guys who had some attitude issues and they developed. Like, sometimes it just takes the right coaching.
To grow up. They're young kids, dude. Like, I don't know. You can't really base stuff off what you do at your fucking 19, 20 years old. I hope he gets his shit together though, because he's a true talent, dude.
Yeah. I'll jump in. I'll talk about my number 14, Malik Washington, who's not in your top 20.
Yep.
At every time, like I started, like I watched 4 games. I'm like, I need to watch more. I need to see if like what I'm seeing is right. Like I didn't know if I was blinded by some rose colored lenses, but like I fell in love with this dude. Like only Malik Neighbors and Roma Dunze had more 20+ yard catches than Malik Washington did this year. Malik Washington is 5'8".
He's tiny. That's good company though. That's
Yeah,
the company you want to be in this draft
he is
class.
an absolute game changer, and like he's a different type of slot receiver. Like you think of a slot guy, you think of just good underneath routes, short throws, but this dude isn't like that. Like his play style and toughness lends him to be more than just an underneath guy. As his playmaking ability is incredible. He's my favorite gem that I've come across through the 30 receivers I've watched. His size is a concern, but he plays so much bigger than his frame. He does only have 1 year of high level production, but in that year, he set Virginia wide receiver records in catches, yards, and 100-yard games. He's so unique. And I think if the right team gets their hands on him, this dude is a wide receiver 2 on the next level. I'm pretty confident in the late second, early third round grade I gave him. He's got strong hands, 11 contested catches this year, which was top 35. And this dude's 5'8", not afraid of contact. He tracks the ball really well and coordinates himself on difficult catches. He was top 25 in deep catches with 12, top 40 in deep yards with 419. He's twitchy, quick feet off the line, sustains his burst, changes direction, halts his momentum. He's so good in space too. He had 28 screen catches for 197 yards, and his one cut ability, so good. He's so tough. Like he's not afraid to take a hit. He catches through contact. His strength to break arm tackles and keep speed, it's insane. When like because of his size, and first in the nation in missed tackles at wide receiver at 35. Like
he's very twitchy, bro.
Like
he's a Madden juke stick.
Yeah,
is what I have down for him.
He does tend to jump early on contested situations and catch with his body. He has 5 career fumbles, so ball security is a little concerning.
He plays fast, so the ball is liable to move out of his hands.
Not great in the blocking game. Obviously, has a small catch radius, short arms, short catch radius. That's just how science works. And obviously, against press coverage, you can kind of knock him loose because he is 5'8", 190.
That was a big thing of mine. Is if you got hands on him, he was essentially almost done.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like
he's twitchy enough to get off that.
I loved it. Like people want to say he's just an underneath guy, and he is absolutely not. Like no,
he's not. He's a field stretcher.
I'm probably over ranking him, but I loved his game more than a lot of guys under him. I'm just banking in on him, and
hell yeah, dude. It's no different than bub memes or shoot your shot, brother. Fucking I love it.
All right, who else was in your top half there?
My 14 was Xavier Worthy.
Okay, Xavier Worthy is my 13. So let's talk Worthy.
That boy flies, brother. Obviously. He's an open field athlete, obviously. His first step off the line is quick as hell. It has to be to run that 4.2. He's obviously one of the better deep threat options. His ball tracking ability is top tier. His best routes are obviously on the outside, but he is a decent enough in the slot. He can run both, which is something you want. And he also wins pretty much every man-to-man battle. I watch tape on. If you man-to-man him, he's gone, dude. He's flying. But his hands, again, it's a ton of problems in this draft. Is people's hands. That's his hands. He off balance a little bit, but he's smaller. It is what it is.
Yeah,
he's very Tank Dell like.
Yeah,
he knows how to
like
get open.
A taller, faster Tank Dell. Like his speed is impeccable, and it's not just straight line speed. Like you saw him break the 40 combine record, but he's fast, changing direction across the middle. Good ball tracker, elite vertical threat because of that speed. I loved his route tree, like real diverse route tree, really crisp out of his cuts, but like his frame, he's 6'1", 172. He struggles against press. Um, if you make any sort of contact with this dude, he flies backwards like a cartoon. And like,
oh yeah. If your hands are on him, he's fucking blah blah blah. He's
then
going
you got to
backwards.
worry, like, is there going to be durability issues because of his size? Like, college kids don't hit like NFL kids. So is that going to be him? And his hands, like, he had a bunch of focus drops. He takes the eyes off the ball. 3 fumbles and 2 muff punts in his college career. He was 5 for 21 on contested catches in 2023. So obviously his frame's not going to lend to him to
Yeah.
do that, but he is willing at least.
Hmm?
I like Xavier Worthy. Like
Oh
I
yeah,
think
for
he's
sure.
got one of the
I like
best.
pretty much all the guys we've
Yeah,
talked about a
I think
lot
he's
so
got some
far.
of the best route running abilities in
Hmm.
the class. I think he's got great upside. I am concerned about his frame and if it lasts, but if he can work
He's a
on that,
baller, dude.
yeah, like the dude is a machine, like super crisp route runner, really dangerous across the middle of the field as well as over the top. Incredibly productive in college, even though
Hmm.
he had more 100-yard games as a freshman than he did as a junior and sophomore combined. So early production.
More
So
talent
didn't,
has shown up, but
yeah. Um,
but
if
we'll
it
talk about his running mate on the next episode.
next episode, yeah,
Worthy runs better
yep,
routes,
yep. Like
so
if a team would take him in the first round at the end there, I wouldn't
I'm
get
not
too
batting an
defensive
eye at
about
him.
it. Like,
Yeah.
it gives him a real opportunity to go to an established team, so you know they have a
Hmm.
strong quarterback, and I think that's going to help him. And if you could shore up those focus drops and his overall control of the ball and get him to a system that's going to scheme him in, he's going to be incredibly dangerous. I ended up giving him a late second, early third round grade, but he was fun to watch.
Hmm. Oh yeah, for sure.
And
Just
like I hope
I
he
love
ends up
watching Texas,
being
dude.
I hope he ends up being an outlier at
I
his
agree.
frame size because of his skill set.
Hmm. Oh yeah, I love watching him play. He was so much fun to watch. But in the right offense, dude, I think he can flourish. I think he's gonna shine. But
Who
I think he could fail in a lot of circumstances too.
yeah. Who was your next guy after him?
Roman Wilson, Michigan.
Cool. That's who I had after Xavier Worthy.
Cool.
I had Roman Wilson. Worthy was my 13. Roman Wilson was my 12.
There's not a route that this guy doesn't cut on a dime, dude. There was no rounding in this guy's routes. Zero. Zilch. None.
Great route runner, great footwork. Like,
Yeah.
anyone who doesn't know football is going to think like people have a foot fetish because I'm just like, look at that guy's feet. His feet are so
I
nice.
watched that guy's feet, and man, his feet are nice.
Quentin Tarantino should get into watching football.
Hell yeah, dude. You can call me that Jesus Super Bowl ad. Roman Wilson is the next Sterling Shepard. He
Is that
does
a bad thing?
No, that's a good thing. As a Giants fan, brother, come on. That's what you want on your team.
Okay,
I don't
but
care
most
if he's a
people will hear
receiver.
that and like Sterling Shepard wasn't overly productive in the pros.
No, but he was very
Always
good.
hurt.
Disrespect. I don't want to throw slander on my boy. There wasn't a receiver I'd rather on my team than Sterling Shepard. He could have been the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Any receiver you want him to be, he's going to be it because he's a team player and he's good enough to do it in any position.
He is.
Roman Wilson is that. He can do anything you want out of a receiver. Not at an elite level. That's why he's lower than all these guys, but he doesn't do anything bad.
I only had 2 real flaws for Roman Wilson. One was his size, smaller frame, 5'11", 185, and then the other was yak ability. Like, he didn't offer much after the catch, only 4.6 yards after the catch this past season. Only broke 2 missed tackles, or forced 2 missed tackles, and his contact balance was less than average. But like, he's tough, he's scrappy, he is not afraid to put your ass on the ground as a blocker. Strong hands, 1 drop this year. He catches the ball in front of him. He does not use his body. He's got a decent catch radius despite being a little smaller. Super aware in his routes. He knows where to sit in the defense. A real big route tree. And he's not just a speed guy. Everybody's like, wow, he runs this. He's got this great speed. He's been working with this speed coach since he was a teenager. And he does. He's got good game speed, good straight line speed, really explosive. He does have big playability. He's really fluid, sinks his hips. I love it. And like you said, he does everything well. He just doesn't do anything at an elite level except, his speed. And that's what I got. Roman Wilson is a really, really good football player. Not necessarily elite anywhere, minus his speed, but his flaws are minimal. He's got a really safe floor as a prospect, but I do worry that his floor does limit his upside. He's going to latch on as a slot guy almost immediately and be incredibly productive off the bat, but we'll see how consistent that production ends up being. Like, I think he's always going to be a wide receiver 3. I'm not sure if he's ever going to be a wide receiver 2 on a team.
I think in the right situation, I think he can be the 2 though. Is what?
Yeah. Oh, he has the talent to be the 2.
Yeah. Like there's no reason Sterling Shepard was ever the Giants' #1 receiver, but he was.
Yeah.
And I think Roman Wilson could step in there and be like, okay, I'm getting the targets.
I ended up with a late second round grade on Wilson. I like his speed out of the slot. I think he's going to be very effective because of that. His size in the long run does worry me that there could be durability issues, but he's been relatively healthy throughout college. In the right system, I think he could be a high-end wide receiver 2, but I think he settles in nicely as a high-end elite wide receiver 3.
Yeah, I think as a wide receiver 3, he's gonna shine, dude. I really hope nothing but the best for Roman Wilson, dude. I would love to see him ball out in the next level.
And you had
IQ.
Yeah, super high football. And if he ends up with the Chargers with Harbaugh, everyone's gonna jump on that train.
Oh, definitely.
You had Troy Franklin next at 12?
I do have Troy Franklin.
Troy Franklin was my 11.
Nice. A lot of people are pretty high on Troy Franklin.
I like Troy Franklin.
Oh, I'm not saying I don't. I've seen a lot of him at receiver 4 though, which I don't like
Troy Franklin like that.
I don't like that. I don't like him at receiver 4, dude. He's very tall, but he's also very, very, very thin, bro. And that's a huge downside. He's like Devontae Smith thin, which you don't see. He's very good at high pointing the ball, though, because he is like 6'2", 6'3". He's very good at high pointing the ball. And he's very smooth. Like his steps are smooth. I don't know what it was. The way he moves through a football field is very well.
He glides.
Yeah, he does. But I don't know. There's a lot about Troy Franklin that just doesn't stick for me, dude. I don't know what it is. It's definitely an eye test thing. Like watching his tape, it was fine. Watching his combine, it wasn't fine. So it was like, what are we doing here? His gauntlet was horrendous, dude.
His gauntlet was messy.
You run a straight line, brother. That's all I'm asking, dude.
His speed and acceleration, you're not going to find many better in this class. Yeah. Real good vertical route runner, long gliding strides, good breakaway speed. He understands how to separate. He's an elite deep threat 10. He was top 10 in deep catches this year with 14, 11 in yards with 558. His footwork's really good. He makes players miss after the catch. He had 14 missed tackles forced this past season. He's got a real quick release, able to make full speed cuts. And despite his frame, he's got real good body control, as you mentioned. Like he maintains control to go up and make these awkward catches and adjust without giving up ground. But his frame is an issue. 6'2", 176. Because of the way he's built, like he lacks flexibility, like he doesn't sink his hips into his routes, and he can't block. Like that dude gets bodied. 9 drops in 2023, so his hands are suspect. Like he just doesn't trust his hands up the middle at times. And like if you watch his gauntlet drill, like he was all over the place.
It was literally like the balls were moving him off the line.
Yeah.
Like it was insane. I don't know what it was. He would catch the ball and almost move back a yard or two.
He didn't trust his hands. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, definitely. That was a huge problem.
And his route tree, I have it here as a weakness, but like I don't know how much of it was scheme fit. Like he does possess the ability to run more routes, but like it seemed like in Oregon, they just wanted him running vertical routes. So like there wasn't a lot of diversity on tape. I think the ability's there, but
I think when he tries to cut for a route, it doesn't really cut. He can't plant.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but Troy Franklin, to me, like in my notes, I said he was a better version of Jermaine Burton and Tez Walker. You're obviously higher on Jermaine Burton.
I am.
His
I
frame,
think Jermaine Burton is a better football player than
his
Troy
frame
Franklin.
does concern me because of his slender build, but he possesses the ability to be a high-end wide receiver too. I'm lower on Franklin than most, but I do like some of the things he brings to the table. He's got elite deep threat ability. If he could tighten up in the middle of the field, he can be a dangerous player at the next level. He has the chance, like Xavier Worthy, to go to an established team because I think he could sneak into round one. I personally wouldn't take him in round one, but like
Oh
if
yeah, no,
that's the
I
case,
would
like
not.
if he ends up in Buffalo or Kansas City or Dallas, you know, we might be talking a little differently about Franklin. But if he ends up at a team that has questions at quarterback, like if he ends up in Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how much of his long-term success is going to be sustainable. I do like his upside, though. I gave him a mid to late second round grade.
Yeah, I think his upside can definitely. It's not like I don't like him. I have him at 13, so I have him over Rome Wilson, who does everything right. He does a lot of stuff right.
Yeah, I think it's just how deep this receiving class is. Like a lot of
Yeah,
people
definitely.
like Troy Franklin, and I'm not going to bat
Yeah,
an eye at that. I
yeah. I've
personally
seen a lot of
like
stuff
the.
at him at receiver 4, and it is what it is. Almost 4 through 16, you can interchange these guys in any order you want. 4 through 16 is such a.
Mhm.
It's like 2 tiers between the 12, 13 guys.
Yeah. So you had Javon Baker at 11.
I do have Javon Baker at. I have him at 12.
Okay. 12. Okay.
12, and I have Burton at 11.
Okay. I had Javon Baker at 10. He's in my top 10.
Okay.
So Malachi Corley's in your top 10.
Yes.
Is he higher than 10?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to talk about Corley to end this episode, or do you want to talk about Baker?
Let's go Baker. I have him at 12.
All right, let's.
I have Corley at 9. I'll just foreshadow it there. I'm not having him higher, but I do have him at 9.
Okay, let's talk Javon Baker.
Javon Baker, baby. Dog. I love Javon Baker, baby. Great size. Route running tree is off the charts. His ball tracking ability downfield is awesome. He also has yak ability, and you've seen the yak ability watching tape. His body control on the sidelines and a little in the middle, but his sideline ability is very nice. His footwork is ballerina-like. Tiptoeing, baby.
At times. Sometimes his feet can be a little wild.
Route running wise, yes, but like catching wise, his feet work.
He always gets 2 feet in too. I noticed that.
Yeah. I noticed that.
Anytime he went up for a ball towards the sidelines, he made sure to get both his feet down, and I love that because you don't have to in college.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. You can get one down and just call it a day.
Yep. Incredibly explosive. He's great off the line. He's really good in space, like you said. He's good yak ability. He was top 60 in yards after catch with 7.2 this past season.
Didn't even know that.
Real big playability too. Like that's what everybody focuses on. Oh, he's just a big play receiver. He's not. He does more. But like he had 5 catches of 50 plus yards this year. He was 3rd in the nation in deep catches with 15. Really good awareness. Like he understands where the boundaries are. He's got good vision when moving around the field with the ball in his hands. He finds space. Plus they used him in the screen game and like on jet sweeps. And like you don't see that for a guy his size.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Plus
he's 6'1", 202.
Yep. Willing blocker. And he holds his own in the run game, like blocking. I love that. He excels in climbing the ladder and grabbing the ball at the high point. He had 9 contested catches this past season, which was top 70. And like his ability to adjust midair, it's nice. Like I loved his tape. He did run a little stiff. He doesn't sink his hips, slows down on his brakes. He doesn't really regain momentum when he has to stop and cut back.
Yeah.
His route running feet are a mess. They're so wild. And his drops are he's so inconsistent. He had as many drops as he did touchdowns in his college career. So I am worried about that. And
that's still what though?
13.
I was going to say he had 7 touchdowns this year.
13 drops, 13 touchdowns. He might be the prospect who ends up biting me in the ass the most. Because like most people, both of us are way higher on consensus. Like he's like at the bottom of people's top 20.
Way higher than Javon Burton for sure. Got
I
bumped.
fell in love with him as a prospect throughout this process. Like you said, he is a dog,
Dog, dude. Yeah.
DAWG dog.
Yep.
Uh, like like I said, I think he's more than just a big play guy, and that's what everybody likes to fixate on. I think he's really physical off release. He fights off corners really well.
Mm-hmm.
His big play ability is great. Like I do love that. And I think early on, I think he's going to be that chuck it up red zone guy until he develops more.
Yeah.
He is pretty raw as a route runner, so I'd like to see him touch that up a bit. If they can fix his feet in terms of route running,
Mm-hmm.
you got a prospect. And then if you can just work on the hands issue, but like he's so confident, he is the mindset that he is that dude. Like I
I
love,
think a lot of these kids are gonna get their hands fixed.
yeah,
They're all like focus catches. They're not like they're just dumb. They're not paying attention.
I love me delusional confidence in a wide receiver, and he's got it. Like he thinks he's the best guy out there. And like I said, it could end up biting me in the ass that I'm a lot higher on him than consensus, but I ended up with a late second round grade on this dude, and I think his upside warrants that.
I agree. No, I totally agree on a second round grade on Javon Baker for sure. You do not hear his name in a lot of receiver lists in the top 10s, 15s, even 20s, but he's the dude, brother.
So when Javon Baker breaks out and becomes a stud, you heard it here first. We had him. Well, I had him in the top 10. But you had him just outside.
If this guy busts, hey man, this receiving class was deep.
It's so good.
Guys in between.
He ended up in a bad scheme. It just didn't work.
A bad coach. It just didn't work out. You didn't hear it from us.
No, we knew you had to get him in the right spot, and you guys didn't listen.
Yeah.
So let's
Carolina,
recap
stop drafting receivers, Carolina.
yeah. Like develop Jonathan Mingo, guys. Like you just drafted one. All right. So enough funny business there. Let's recap our 20 through 11.
Hell yeah. You want me to go or are you going?
Yeah, you go.
All right, sounds good. 20, I have Jaquan Jackson from Tulane. 19, Jalen McMillan from Washington. 18, Bub Memes from Pittsburgh. 17, Jalen Polk from Washington. 16, Tez Walker from North Carolina. 15, Xavier Worthy from Texas. 14, Roman Wilson from Michigan. 13, Troy Franklin from Oregon. 12, Javon Baker from UCF. And 11, Jermaine Burton from Roll Tide, Alabama.
All right. At 20, I had Anthony Gold from Oregon State. 19, Devontae Walker from North Carolina. 18, Jermaine Burton from Alabama. 17, Malachi Corley from Western Kentucky. We will start we will start part 2 with Malachi Corley. He was 16, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, Jalen McMillan, Washington. 15, Jalen Polk, Washington. 14, Malik Washington, Virginia. 13, Xavier Worthy from Texas. 12, Roman Wilson from Michigan. And 11, Troy Franklin from Oregon. And then Javon Baker was my 10, who we ended this episode with. Yeah, so there you got it.
We'll mention Baker in the next episode for a little bit because he's your 10, and then we'll obviously mention Corley to start the episode.
I can't wait to hear what you say about Corley because he seems to be our big difference. We both had him in the top 20, but I have him 17. You have him in your top 10.
I do.
There you have it. Part 1 of our wide receiver Couch Scout episode. I was really jazzed for this one. Yeah. I love this receiving class. We'll record part 2 here shortly, and they'll probably be out at the same time, so you'll have plenty to listen to. And we'll see the same process. We'll talk about a guy outside our top 20 for a little bit and then jump right into our top 10s. But there you have it. Thank you, as always, for joining us here on the Drafted Up podcast. Feel free to like, subscribe, follow, comment, all that good jazz. You can find us on Twitter at DraftedUp_pod. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. Search Drafted Up Podcast. Thank you, guys. We appreciate you. We love yous. It's a great day to be alive. And remember, it's a great day to draft some guys. Adios.